There we go.
Did we introduce ourselves?
Just say all the names.
Say your name. Okay. All right. So our topic was diversity and adaptations of desert plants. And we had Aiden, Jude, Emily, and me, Alexia. Oh, Olivia, I'm gonna say the whole thing again. Okay. All right. Hello, our topic was diversity and adaptations of desert plants. We had Aiden, Jude, Emily, Olivia, and then me, Alexia. So beginning with the background, desert plants differ than a lot of other plants because they are considered exophytes. This means that they thrive in extremely dry weather conditions, and these plants adapt to surviving with little water. In addition, these plants have specialized tissues known as non-photosynthetic parenchyma cells for storing water. Examples of desert plants include agave, cactus, sagebrush, and some gymnosperm. And yeah. In addition, desert plants differ in their characteristics. Most of them have modified leaves in form of thorns, and this is to help reduce loss of moisture from the surface of the leaves. Also, when it comes to the morphology of desert plants, they have thick succulent stems with pulpy interior to store water. And a lot of desert plants are stunted in growth. So if you look at this picture here, we see these little bushes, and they're a lot shorter than like plants that are going to need more water because they're trying to retain more water. And a lot of them have delicate hair-like structures to reduce water loss through evaporation. And you'll also see that in a lot of desert plants, their leaves have a limited exposure. Some will be kind of like towards the like deeper, like within the soil, and some are going to be more on the surface, but you're not going to see as much exposure to the leaves because they're trying to conserve as much water as possible. And then we see that desert plants adapt differently than a lot of your other plants. Ways that desert plants adapt is through CAM photosynthesis, which we will talk a little bit more later on. And they also adapt to avoid predation. If you look at this picture here, you see this little bird here living in the cactus or cacti. So desert plants sometimes try to finish their life cycle before desert conditions worsen to avoid predation from birds and other animals.
A majority of desert plants are vascular. They are vascular due to a specific tissue. The specific tissue contains a phloem and a xylem. It is a specific system to properly transport water to different parts of the plant. In the desert, you'll find gymnosperms and angiosperms, though a majority of plants found in the desert are angiosperm. Examples of angiosperms you could find in the desert could be the saguaro, the desert lily, or even the palo verde. These are plants that produce flowers. Angiosperms display modifications and adaptations for defense and for living in challenging environments such as the desert. Desert plants also help other organisms such as animals thrive. The majority of plants that thrive in the desert have adaptations to give them the best rate of survival. For instance, plants that survive in the desert are better at conserving water for long periods of time than plants in the rainforest, and animals can use this to their advantage. They may consume these plants for their moisture.
All right, how they work. Some of the adaptations made by leaves are the size of the leaf, physically, or just the stomata on the leaf. This is to lessen the amount of water vapor exiting through photosynthesis and transpiration. In addition, leaves will be seasonal. They'll go away for dry seasons, and wet seasons they'll come back out and thrive. And then the leaves will also have a waxy coating, which will allow them to stay cool and not dry out. The photosynthesis adaptations that may be made are a need to perform photosynthesis without leaves. So the stems themselves can perform photosynthesis through their stomata, which is another adaptation that they may make. And then, like I stated earlier, leaves can shut down for extended periods and not go away, but just not perform photosynthesis. And then the roots, there's two different ways that desert plants have adapted through their roots. They've either deepened their root systems like a bunch of cacti, and this allows them to reach deeper and more consistent water sources. Or they, like succulents, for instance, have very shallow, wide root systems that allow them to soak up rain when it comes. And these plants that have also had shorter root systems have adapted to going without water for extended periods of time.
For how they work and some specific plant examples. One example is the saguaro cactus, and they have acquired many adaptations to help live and thrive in hot and dry climates. One is that their stems and arms are made out of succulent, and this is a spongy tissue that aids in storing water. They also have a waxy outer skin to help prevent water loss through evaporation. As well as their stems can contain chlorophyll and can be a site of photosynthesis. And this helps as well with the prevention of water loss because there's no leaves and less surface area to lose water from. The spines help help protect from water-seeking predators and protect the growing tip from extreme heat or cold. And their stems and arms are able to grow and expand when water is abundant and then shrink when there is a dry period. Next is the banana yucca, and this plant has a thick and waxy skin that helps prevent the loss of water through evaporation, similar to the saguaro cactus. They also have a thick and shallow roots in order to absorb the most water possible and absorb it quickly. Along with this, they have sharp leaves in order to protect the plant from predators who are seeking water from it. And they also don't have a trunk, which helps prevent from movement from the strong winds. One last example of a plant that is adapted to survive in the desert is the Mojave aster. This plant blossoms after a winter rainfall and will go through a vegetative and reproductive state during the spring season. This allows them to take advantage of the water and rainfall when they can get it and do the most they can with it. And then when water is not abundant, they can go through other stages of their life. They also have longer and pointed leaves to help reduce the area of the leaf that can lose water through evaporation.
All right, and the importance of deserts is deserts cover 1/5 of the Earth's surface. They contribute to humans, animals, and the environment through minerals, bioprospecting, and carbon sinks. The saguaro cactus is the largest cactus in the U.S. It provides food and shelter to many desert animals and is an integral part of Tohono O'odham people. And so desert plants can be used in food. So the saguaro cactus of the Sonoran Desert grows these ruby-colored fruit on the top of them once a year. The fruit is full of pulp and seeds that are said to taste like strawberries. It can be eaten raw, but is usually made into jams, wines, or syrups. Desert plants can also be made into medicine. So many desert plants are brewed into teas to treat different illnesses. An example is the Mormon tea, which is Ephedra viridis. It is a gymnosperm that is commonly used to treat UTIs, respiratory illnesses, nasal congestion, and also colds. Desert plants can be made into clothes. So an example is a new material called vegan wool, which is created from a company in Germany. It is made from 30% calotropis and 70% organic cotton. Calotropis is a tall flowering shrub, which is found in dry and harsh environments. And this is all without human intervention, so very little rain and no care to it. So yeah. Any references?